I wanted to take a minute to lay out the Turner dual master cylinder kit before mounting it to the vehicle, just to kind of give you a feel for how it was set up. As a frame of reference, this is the mounting bracket for the Turner dual master cylinder kit. This is the dual master cylinder setup that came out of a Corvette. These two flexible lines were provided as part of the kit, and they came in real handy in terms of being able to hook this up to the steel brake lines going to the front and the back. This kit also came with two residual check valves. You got a 2 psi blue residual check valve that goes to the front disc brakes. If you had front drum brakes, that would be a 10 psi pinkish residual check valve that you would use up there. For the back brakes here's the residual check valve going to the back brakes. It's a 10 psi residual check valve. This is the adjusting proportional valve that came with the kit, and this is going to be mounted to the frame actually. So that's kind of what came in the dual master cylinder kit. Other things that I needed to purchase to complete the installation was this junction T here and two collars that would allow me to connect the residual check valve to the proportioning valve here. And it would also allow me to take in my stoplight switch and connect it into the system there. One of the things I did want to point out is that there are two types of threads involved in this system here. You have the national pipe thread system, and then you have our regular thread system. The example I'll give you is right down here at this residual check valve. I'll put a little note here. These ends are actually adapters. The male part of this adapter is a 1/8-27 national pipe thread fine male end, and then the female end for this adapter is just a normal 3/8-24 threaded system. It is this female end that allows you to connect the brake lines to this residual check valve. And where that came into a problem was when I got ready to mount my stoplight switch. The internal threads for the residual check valve are national pipe threads. The internal threads for the proportioning valve are also national pipe threads. And then the stoplight switch itself was based on national pipe threads. And so I needed to find a way to connect all these, and it took me a little while to get it figured out. But I think I got it, and I wanted to share that with you. This T-Junction is actually a brass union T-Junction that I found at O'Reilly's, or ordered at O'Reilly's. It is an AGS part number BLF70 Bravo, and that has the national pipe thread system in there. You can see it down there. It says 1/8-27 NPT national pipe thread. And then I was able to find the unions. Which are part number 212200 from O'Reilly's, but it's an AGS part number PTF23 Bravo. And so what I ended up doing was I removed this adapter from the residual check valve here, and there was an adapter here on the proportioning valve. I removed those two adapters. I screwed my junction T, which just like this. There's my junction T, and screwed that into my residual check valve and also to my proportioning valve. This is the way it will actually mount on the vehicle. It's going to be upside down, where my adjusting knob is going to be facing toward the bottom of the frame. And also my stoplight switch is going to be facing downward. I originally had it facing upward, but I didn't have enough room in the frame for the wiring, so I went ahead and rotated it facing downward there. So that's kind of how the system is going to mount. And just real quick, right here is where the steel brake line connects going to the rear axle. One of the adjustments I needed to make was I needed to find a spacer to mount up behind my proportioning valve there. And primarily the reason was because this knob would rub against the frame and I wouldn't be able to adjust it and so I had to find the spacer to move the proportioning valve away from the frame. So I got a 1/4 inch piece of metal here. I drilled out a 5/16 hole, and then I also took the proportioning valve, which had 1/4 inch holes, and I drilled out this bottom hole here for 5/16. And then for the top hole there, I left it as a 1/4 inch, and what I wanted to do was to connect this spacer to my proportioning valve in 2 places. So I tapped out a 1/4 inch hole here using fine threads, and what that allowed me to do was to take this 1/4 inch bolt fine thread. It was 1.5 inches, and I had to cut it off just a little bit, and I'll show you why in just a second. And I slide it through there, and I mount it to the spacer plate, and so the spacer plate is going to mount to that. And then if you turn it over, you can see that the bolt doesn't come through, because this side of the plate will actually be up against the frame of the pickup. So now that I have that there, what I can do is I now have a 5/16 bolt fine thread. This is about 2¼ inches long, and it will actually go from the outside of the frame. It will enter the frame and enter the spacer here, slide through, and come out this way, and then I will place a flat washer, lock washer, and nut onto there, and that's how the proportioning valve will be secured to the frame of the pickup. And again, on this adapter right here, that's where the steel brake line connects from the rear axle. I thought I'd just show that to you right quick before I got it on the frame, and then we'll take a look at it once it gets on the frame so you can see what it looks like.